Before we get into this, let me be very clear what this video isn't. This is not about hype stocks or chasing every single move. If that's what you're here for, you might as well click off right now. This is about how I decide whether a swing trade is worth taking in the first place. I'll break it down in all these simple strategies before I think about entries, targets, or potential profit. So let's get into it. When I'm looking at a swing trade, I always start on the weekly chart. For me, it's just the fastest way for me to see if a trade is, I guess, even worth my time. If the weekly looks choppy or has no direction, I don't care how good the daily looks. I'm personally not going to force it. So once the weekly makes sense, like it's basing, it's trending, and all that fun stuff, then I'll drop down to the daily. That's where I'm watching how price reacts around those weekly levels and whether pullbacks are, I guess, getting bought up. I see a lot of people do this backwards. They start on the daily, they get excited on the setup, and then they zoom out on the weekly and realize they're trading straight into a wall of resistance. We've all been there before, but trust me, do not be that person. When you're swing trading, especially if you got a job or other stuff going on during the day, you can't afford to get shaken out by every red candle you see. If the weekly time frame is good, I don't really care what one random daily candle does. So just keep in mind the weekly gives you context and then the daily gives you an idea of where this could potentially go. So before I get into a swing trade, one of the first things I like to see is whether a stock is basing and starting to make higher highs. For everyone who isn't familiar with what higher highs is, I'll put it on the screen here. I want to use this chart as an example, and this is ticker symbol ZM. When I first look at a setup like this, I always mark where the stock is clearly basing and where the first real breakout actually happened. And usually in higher high trend, the second pullback almost always comes back to that same support area before it makes another leg up. So in this case, that level is around this $65 level. That's where I'll start to add this to my watch list, but it's not where I typically start an entry. A lot of people would enter here, and for sure you can take advantage of this potential upswing, but I'm trying to break this down as simple as possible for everyone who don't want to keep buying and selling every single small move and would rather wait for the bigger move to play out. So in this case, you want to wait for another retest into that demand zone. Let me explain this while we're here. When you're looking for a higher high trend, you always want to draw out supply and demand zones. Each higher high will usually retest the previous supply before continuing. So instead of looking at this as one big move, I'm breaking it into ranges. One range forms, then another, and then so on. At this point, you can see price tightening up inside this wedge that was forming. After it touched that lower trend line multiple times, that's where I'll start looking for an entry, rather waiting for it to eventually break out and work towards filling that gap around this $98 to about $110 area. Is this setup 100% guaranteed to break out? Like, of course not, but at least I'm sticking to my strategy. And if it fails and breaks down out of the wedge, I can just scale out of shares or options and then move on. One thing no one really talks about enough is that waiting is literally part of swing trading. Most people lose money not because they can't read charts, but because they can't sit on their hands.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
They think if you're not clicking buy or sell, you're missing out. I think it's called FOMO or fear of missing out. You guys get the point. Whatever it means, that mindset will destroy you in swing trading. Just trust me. When I'm in a trade, a lot of the time, nothing is happening. Price is going sideways, pulling back, and that's fine. If the setup is there, my job isn't to just do something, I guess. My job is to not mess it up. Think of it like this. If a girl finds you attractive, the last thing you want to do is just blabber on about random stuff because that's where the famous quote comes from. Oh, he was cute until he opened his mouth. So just relax, let things play out. And the same thing goes for swing trading. I would literally watch a stock for weeks before I even enter it. I want to see how it reacts at certain levels, how it pulls back, etc. This is especially important if you have a job during the day. You don't need to be glued to the screen all day. Just mark the levels you're looking for and let price come to you. If it doesn't, then who cares? Just don't take the trade. I'll go over another setup strategy with you guys because I know this can be just a little difficult at first. Another thing I look for when I trade is these double bottom patterns. If you're in the Discord, you already know all about this. But once again, if you don't know what a double bottom pattern is, I'll have it on the screen here. Basically, it's when price sells off, finds support, bounces, and then retests that last support. So let's go over this setup, which is ticker symbol QUBT. I always say if you want to swing trade, always look to the left. Like on this chart, back around March of last year, you can see this started to form a double bottom pattern around this $6 level, and then later ran all the way to about $21, which is what, about a 3x move, 4x move, somewhere around there. The thing I love about swing trading is that you have options. If you want to hold for a few days and take advantage of the first move, you can. If you want to hold longer and take advantage of the bigger move, you can. Just make sure that no matter what you do, you're scaling out at different levels. Real quick, this is the kind of setups we go over every single day in the Discord. If you're interested in that, the link is in the description. Now we're here at the beginning of the year and it's starting to form another double bottom. And if this decides to break out, we could possibly see it work towards filling that gap above that $15 to $16 area. Can it go higher? Yes, but that just depends on your personal risk strategy and how you choose to manage the trade. I'll be posting more videos like this that goes more in depth, but just to start off, I wanted to give you guys about 1 or 2 setups so you can, get your feet wet. But if you enjoyed this video, let's get this video to 100 likes. Comment below how long you've been swing trading and what you're currently struggling with. I love reading you guys' comments and responding, and I'll see you in the next one.